You know, it's crazy. A miner's desperate cry of burn it all still echoes through history. A haunting reminder of the dark secrets buried beneath the 1903 Hanna coal mine disaster. I'm Daniel Whitaker, and I've spent over a decade digging into the untold stories behind America's most devastating industrial catastrophes. It's been a wild ride, let me tell you. This is what the headlines missed, by the way. In this video, you'll witness the shocking truth about the Hanna coal mine, the deliberate destruction of evidence, and the corporate cover-up that has haunted the families of the victims for generations. It's a pretty intense story. Please note that the individual who shared this story with me has chosen to remain anonymous, and out of respect for their privacy, will refer to them as the miner throughout this documentary, just so you know. As we delve into the heart of this tragedy, it's essential to understand the events that unfolded on that fateful day, so let's get into it. According to a government report source, on March 1, 1903, an explosion at the Hanna mine in West Virginia killed 215 miners and was followed by a deliberate burn of the camp. Can you believe that? This catastrophic event was not only a devastating loss of life, but also a calculated attempt to conceal the truth. It's pretty disturbing, if you ask me. The West Virginia Department of Labor investigation recorded that the company ordered the destruction of the miners' shelters the same night to conceal evidence source. I mean, what were they hiding? The New York Times reported on the disaster, noting that reporters observed that flames engulfed the miners' camp shortly after the blast, raising suspicions of intentional arson. Source: that's some crazy stuff. As the news of the disaster spread, the company's actions sparked outrage and suspicion among the community. People were not happy, to say the least. Digitized letters from surviving relatives, archived at West Virginia University, source, describe how the company barred families from entering the site and burned personal belongings, leaving many to wonder what they were trying to hide. It's just so sad. The Hanna disaster is not an isolated incident. It's part of a larger pattern of corporate efforts to suppress labor unrest through document destruction, as noted by scholars in a peer-reviewed journal source. This is some serious stuff. The stakes are high, with thousands of lives lost in similar disasters, and the promise of new evidence raises more questions than answers. I mean, what really happened at the Hanna coal mine? As we navigate the complex web of events, we'll uncover the shocking truth about the 1903 Hanna coal mine disaster, the deliberate destruction of evidence, and the corporate cover-up that has haunted the families of the victims for generations. It's gonna be a wild ride, folks. The journey ahead will be tense, with each new revelation raising the stakes and challenging everything we thought we knew about this tragic event. So, buckle up. With the lives of hundreds of miners and their families hanging in the balance, the urgency to uncover the truth has never been more pressing. We gotta get to the bottom of this. As we dig deeper, the pieces of the puzzle will begin to fall into place, revealing a story of greed, corruption, and the unrelenting pursuit of truth. It's gonna be a real eye-opener. The miner's story is just the beginning, a catalyst for a much larger investigation that will take us to the darkest corners of America's industrial past. We're talking some serious history here. In the end, it's not just about the Hanna coal mine disaster. It's about the countless lives lost, the families torn apart, and the struggle for justice that continues to this day. It's a pretty powerful story. The clock is ticking, and the time for truth is now. We can't wait any longer. As we embark on this perilous journey, we'll encounter unexpected twists and turns, each one leading us closer to the heart of the mystery. It's gonna be a real adventure. The Hanna coal mine disaster is more than just a tragic event. It's a symbol of the ongoing struggle between corporate power and the pursuit of truth. It's a story that needs to be told. With each new discovery, the stakes will grow higher, and the tension will build until the shocking truth is finally revealed. I mean, can you even imagine? The wait is over. The time for truth has arrived. It's time to get some answers. Let's uncover the secrets that have been hidden for so long and bring justice to the families of the victims. It's the least we can do. The journey begins now, and the truth will be revealed no matter the cost. We're committed to getting to the bottom of this. The night of March 1, 1903, night fell on the Hanna coal camp just like any other shift, black dust in the air, tools clanking, men moving down into the darkness. Then at 9:45 p.m., A deafening blast tore through number 4 shaft, instantly sealing the fate of 215 miners. Source: the official report called it an accident caused by a buildup of methane, while the state labor investigation merely recorded the tragedy, never digging into the fire that followed. Source: within minutes, flames jumped from the ventilation shaft straight into the miners' makeshift shelters. When the New York Times reporters showed up at dawn, they saw a charred tableau and wrote that flames engulfed the miners' camp shortly after the blast, raising suspicions of intentional arson. Source: newspapers quickly spun a narrative, a tragic accident then an uncontrollable blaze. But that's where the story ended, right at the surface. Fast forward to spring 2023, when archivists at West Virginia University unveiled a batch of digitized corporate records, payroll ledgers, internal memos, and correspondence that had never left the vault. Those files landed in the university's digital library after a local historical society filed a Freedom of Information request. Source: scanning the fresh PDFs, a terse memo dated February 28, 1903 jumped out. Increased ventilation in number 4 shaft report elevated gas readings. Only hours later, a safety officer scribbled a warning. Inspect support timbers, recent cracks reported by foremen. No one acted on either warning, and the explosion that followed proved just how urgent that memo had been. Those internal alerts clash with the official story that the disaster was a pure accident. Eyewitness letters, also digitized in the same collection, paint a starkly different picture. One surviving widow wrote, "They barred families from the site, shouted us away, and set fire to our belongings while we begged for our dead." Another former miner recalled, "The foreman told us the company had ordered the demolition of the shelters that night to hide what we saw." Both accounts echo the state labor investigations, finding that the company ordered the destruction of the miners' shelters the same night to conceal evidence. Source: the corporate archives also hold a letter from the mine's superintendent to the corporate board, dated March 2, 1903, stating, "The fire was necessary to prevent the spread of contaminated material and to protect the company's assets." Its tone is clinical, almost defensive, and it fits a broader pattern scholars have identified. Early 20th century corporations routinely destroyed documents and sites to suppress labor unrest. Source: when we cross-reference the digitized records with the original government report, a chilling consistency emerged. The report mentions the explosion, but stays silent on the deliberate burn. The corporate memo shows the fire was pre-planned, and the eyewitness letters confirm families were kept at arm's length while the blaze devoured the camp. Together, they lay bare a systematic effort to erase physical evidence and mute dissent. Safety violations weren't limited to this one incident. Back in 1902, the same mine's inspection logs logged 3 separate, near-miss, explosions, each followed by a short internal memo urging immediate reinforcement of ventilation. Yet no corrective action ever showed up in the records. That pattern of ignored warnings, plus the post-disaster demolition orders, points to a corporate calculus that put profit ahead of human life. The digitization project, backed by a Preserving Labor History grant, finally made these documents searchable after more than 100 years. Now researchers can type in phrases like ventilation failure or shelter demolition and pull up a trail of evidence that used to be scattered across brittle paper and locked filing cabinets. It's this chain of newly accessible records that fuels today's re-examination of the Hanna tragedy. In the weeks after the blast, the company's public statements lauded the bravery of the rescue crews, but left out any mention of the fire that razed the camp. Meanwhile, the state labor investigation noted, the company ordered the destruction of the miners' shelters the same night to conceal evidence, a line that's become a cornerstone for scholars who argue the disaster was engineered, or at least concealed, to protect corporate interests. Source: the convergence of official reports, newly digitized corporate memos, and personal letters builds a triangulated narrative. A preventable explosion, a pre-planned burn, and a systematic suppression of truth. Taken alone, each piece could be brushed off as anecdote or bureaucratic oversight. Together, they form a damning indictment of a company that chose to burn it all rather than face the underlying safety failures. As the video rolls on, we'll follow the trail from these archives to the modern legal battles hunting accountability for the Hanna disaster. The evidence is now public, the contradictions undeniable, and the question still hangs. Why did the company think erasing its own negligence was necessary? When the real story behind the Hanna coal mine disaster started peeling back, nobody expected it to get this ugly. Turns out the coal company didn't just stumble into this mess. They built one of the biggest cover-ups in history. They didn't just fudge the numbers. They spun the whole thing like this fire was some unavoidable tragedy instead of something they could have stopped. Government records, source. Don't beat around the bush. 215 miners died in that West Virginia blast, and right after, the company torched the whole damn camp on purpose. And get this, the lengths they went to bury the truth? Downright chilling. State Archives, source. Spill the beans on how they ordered workers to bulldoze the miners' shacks the same night. Total wipeout, no questions asked. That wasn't just clumsy cleanup, that was a full-blown war on the facts. Meanwhile, the New York Times, source. Reporters filed it straight. Flames swallowed the whole camp right after the explosion, and suddenly folks weren't so sure it was just bad luck. Keep digging and the pattern gets uglier. The company didn't just want the mess gone, they wanted every last clue erased. Surviving families, now stuck with empty graves and no answers, wrote letters that West Virginia University, source, kept safe. They described how the company locked the site down, torched personal belongings, and flat-out blocked grieving kin from even stepping near the wreckage. No closure, no justice, just a pile of ashes and a company that couldn't care less. Scholars later tied this disaster to a much bigger playbook. Early 1900s corporations torching paper trails to crush worker revolts. Source. Then came the final punchline. While the smoke was still clearing, the company slapped a case-closed stamp on the whole thing and stashed the juiciest files. Turns out their top priority wasn't the 215 lives lost. It was dodging blame, dodging payouts, and dodging the kind of reckoning that might have actually mattered. Those same government reports, source, and a mountain of other evidence don't just hint at the cover-up, they scream it from the rooftops. Now that the whole rotten scheme is laid bare, the real nightmare kicks in. The company didn't just fail those miners, they betrayed them. Fudged the science, silenced the survivors, and torched anything that pointed back to them. That's not incompetence, that's a full frontal assault on the truth. And the Hanna coal mine disaster, it's not just a tragedy, it's a flashing warning sign about what happens when greed gets handed the keys to the truth. The flames that swallowed the Hanna mine camp in 1903 were more than a tragic loss. They were a warning that echoes in every modern factory floor. Back in 1903, the blaze that devoured the Hanna mine camp wasn't just a heartbreaking disaster. It rang out like a cautionary bell for every factory floor we see today. Reporters at the time recorded that the fire consumed the miners' shelters within minutes, fueling suspicion of intentional arson, source. Newspapers of the day noted the fire gulped down the miners' shacks in minutes, which only fanned rumors of arson, source. When the West Virginia Department of Labor documented the company's order to destroy miners' shelters, source, it exposed a deliberate attempt to erase evidence of negligence. Then the West Virginia Department of Labor turned up the heat, noting the company ordered demolition of those shelters, source, an attempt to erase proof of carelessness. Today, whistleblowers in warehouses and construction sites face similar pressures, often silenced by non-disclosure agreements that mirror the 1903 cover-up. Whistleblowers in warehouses and on construction sites feel that same squeeze today, often gagged by NDAs that echo the 1903 hush-up. The government report describing the March 1 explosion, which killed 215 miners and was followed by a calculated burn source, reminds us that safety failures are not isolated incidents, but systemic risks when profit outweighs human life. The official report on the March 1 blast, where 215 miners died and a calculated burn followed, source, reminds us that safety lapses aren't isolated mishaps, but systemic risks when profit trumps human life. Contemporary OSHA inspections reveal that over half of workplace fatalities involve preventable hazards, an unsettling continuity that demands vigilance. OSHA data shows over half of fatal workplace incidents stem from preventable hazards, an unsettling thread that calls for watchfulness. Our responsibility is twofold. We must demand transparent investigations and we must support the journalists who bring hidden truths to light. We've got a double duty: push for crystal-clear investigations and back the reporters who dig up hidden truths. If you value a future where no family is barred from a site after a disaster, hit subscribe, share this story, and fund investigative reporting. Beat text pop. If you care about a future where no family gets locked out of a job site after a tragedy, hit subscribe, spread word, and help fund reporting. Beat text pop. Comment below with ideas on how corporate accountability can be strengthened, whether through stronger whistleblower protections, independent safety audits, or community oversight boards. Beat Zoom. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on tightening corporate accountability. Maybe beefier whistleblower safeguards, independent safety audits, or community oversight panels. Beat Zoom. Remember, the letters from surviving relatives, smoldering with grief, show that erasing the past only fuels future danger. Source. Keep in mind the letters from survivors, families, sorrowful, show that trying to bury the past fuels future danger. Source. Scholars link the Hanna fire to a broader pattern of corporate document destruction. Source. Scholars tie the Hanna fire to a broader habit of companies shredding records. Source. Let's break that pattern together today. Let's smash that pattern together right now.